1 hour, 51 minutes, and 28 seconds. Welcome to Ongoing Titles, the somewhat weekly series I've been doing. This week, I'm going to be rambling about, well, this. So if you're watching the video, you can see, for once, I'm not wearing my tan shirt with my white undershirt and, my usual getup. Instead, I'm wearing my race medal and a shirt from my half marathon. Cause this weekend I ran my first race, which was 13.1 miles in 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 28 seconds. So if you've been following me on either Instagram or TikTok, I've been posting about a weekly update on my training. More of just an impromptu, like, hey, I'm already doing this, let's bring others along. If no one watches it, so what? If a ton of people watch it, cool. I met a few people through that. It was fun. But not the point. The point is I've been training for this for ever since I got my surgery. And a quick thing, since I don't think I brought up my surgery before, all my life couldn't breathe out of my left nostril. Basically meant I had like no sense of smell, and I was essentially a mouth breather. About end of July ish, beginning of July, I had a surgery to get that fixed. Ever since and about 2 weeks or 3 weeks after, I was cleared to start exercising, so I started training for a half marathon, found a race right at the end of where my training was going to end, and went for it. And I can't say how fun it was. So, the race itself was the Golden Gate Half Marathon. It takes place in San Francisco every year in November, and part of it is you run across the Golden Gate Bridge. You run across it, then you run back. You get a beautiful view of like Alcatraz and just the general Bay Area. You run on the Golden Gate Bridge, which is just a flex in itself, and not to mention it was so fun. And you're doing it with a ton of people, so you get that energy of running with others, which I've never really experienced before. And either way, I loved it so much. So, the trip there, we drove there. It was a few hours, well, more than a few hours, but it was a long trip, long-going trip, whatever. We get there, we just explore around, walk around a little bit, go off in the wrong direction while exploring. Not because we're lost, but we know exactly where we are. We just didn't know where we were going. So, yeah, we did that. Had a kind of boring time, but still enjoyed it because where I live, it's not really a city, it's a tourist trap. But had seen, like, just walking in a city already felt cool enough. So even though we were walking in a very, I wouldn't even say sketchy, but just a very mellow area, there wasn't much going on. It still felt really cool being around these massive buildings. Then we got back to our hotel, relaxed. We stopped at Trader Joe's to pick up some stuff since the one vegan restaurant that was supposed to be nearby was closed for a party that night. So we just was like, fuck it, we'll just grab some random shit and have that. I had like way too much, to put it lightly. Not the point. What the point is we had a good time. After all that, we decided to go on another walk, but more towards like Fisherman's wharf and just exploring all the little stores there. And we were like, fuck, so this is the touristy part. This is the part we should have walked to. But either way, had a good time. Then the next day, that night, I got like no sleep because I was so excited. So every about 1 to 2 hours, I kept on waking up. I'm checking the time. Like, is it time? No? Damn. Going back to bed. Waking up like 2 hours later. Is it time? No? Damn. Finally, about 5 a.m., I actually just get up. Full of energy, so even though I didn't get much sleep, it wasn't going to affect me. Especially since my race was on November 7th. It was daylight savings, so it went back an hour. So we got an extra hour of sleep. And in other words, even though the race itself was at 7 a.m., it wasn't like I had to wake up super early for it. I still did either way, not the point. We get to the race, we get all situated. I put myself in the 2 hour time block because that's what I'm expecting. I've been training at altitude on hills because that's where I live, and I hear how good of training that is. I've always heard that's like the best training you can get, but I've only ever ran up here. I don't know how real that is. I don't know if it's like, oh yeah, we'll shave off like 30 seconds during that. Either way, so we get ready, we start the race. I'm off to a decent start. Some people are sprinting past me since it's a half marathon, but they think it's like a kilometer race. I don't know. So I'm going well, passing a few people, just enjoying it. I actually took a few videos. If you saw, like 2 days ago, I posted a short video of the race itself onto here. Here, I just took a few videos of myself running. Messaged a few of my friends, being like, "Hey, passing mile number 1, and you were the one who inspired me." About mile 4, I stopped doing that because I was just getting way too. I wouldn't even say out of breath. Just it felt bad. Because, like, every time I did, I had other runners looking at me, like, thinking I was talking with them. And I didn't like that. I don't know much race etiquette, because that was my first race. But still, it was chill. I liked it. And yeah, so we just continued. We went, and we went not to, we didn't go through Fisherman's Wharf at all, even though it started there. But we did go around on the, like, basically the edge of the bay, round up a path. I think it was a bike path, but whatever. I crossed the Golden Gate Bridge, went under it, and then ran back across the other side. As soon as I hit the dirt on that part where we go under, I sprinted. Not because not really because of any specific reason, like haha everyone's slow here, but because I run trails. I live in the mountains. I like to run trails while up here because, change of scenery. And I hit that dirt, and it reminded me so much of how it felt running trails up here. That just gave me such a burst of energy that I just had to sprint it. So while everyone was slowing down, trying to take it steady, since it was uneven terrain right there, I was sprinting past everyone. And then as soon as we started heading uphill, which was back onto concrete, I just went right back to my pace. Which, that felt so cool. I loved it. And then the race continued. We went back across the Golden Gate Bridge. So cool actually doing that, looking out on one side, running first way across it, looking out and seeing Alcatraz in the Bay Area, then running back across it and looking out and seeing the Pacific Ocean, and just, it was cool. It was cool. So we get across that, we run on another bike path that goes under the Golden Gate Bridge, and we make it back to Fisherman's Wharf. But while going back, it's a bit of a different route. We run a little bit on the beach there. It was cool. And I noticed something. I was passing a lot of people. And I just passed the 2-hour pacer person. So there's a person during a race who holds a sign that says like 2 hours. So if you finish right next to them, you'll finish with a 2-hour time. And I passed them. That means this is going to be a new personal record. So that was cool as all hell. And I keep going. At this point, it would, honestly, he's seeing the trees. Well, cool. I live in a forest, so I wasn't looking and taking in the scenery as much there. I start to notice the other runners, though. Not all of them. Definitely not all of them, but I was passing people who easily had several $100s worth of running gear. My only running gear are my running shoes, my Zombies Run t-shirt because it's a comfortable t-shirt that doesn't chafe, shorts, my watch that I have mostly for styling that isn't even that good as a race watch, and my earbuds. So I have the bare minimum. The most high-tech thing I have is my watch, which is just basically saying, hey, you went X distance in this time. Which isn't that useful during a race. It's not a Garmin, to put it lightly. It's a great watch, love it, but not a Garmin. And I was passing people who spent clearly hundreds on like a full-on race outfit that's like super high tech, like fabric. And I know that sounds weird saying if you don't into running. Basically, the fabric does matter a lot, but people with like the really good fabric, they were having these like running energy gels. I forgot what they're called. I've never used them. I remember hearing though sometimes people use them during marathons, and that's pretty common when you when you train like marathons and such, because it's so intense. And I was passing people who were at that level where they had to use that. And then we get down, we run across the beach for a moment, we start turning up, and I just ran down these roads. I'm 2 hours ago. They're cool. I like them, but I'm kind of still paying attention to the runners near me, especially since I noticed there was a weird gap between where I was and the next group of runners. And I was closing that gap. And I've noticed I started passing people who looked like bodybuilders. And you have no idea how cool that was, like just seeing that, running past them, and they're huffing and puffing and really giving it their all. And I'm passing them, and this is like mile 11, I'm barely breaking a sweat. I just wanted to run the distance. I've been training a lot, yeah, but I really didn't think my altitude or all that would make that big of a difference. So I wasn't giving this my all, because I was expecting, okay, this adrenaline's gonna wear off, and it's gonna hit me that, oh shit, this is a long distance. That never happened. And then I kept going, and then we got to the final tenth of a mile, because a half marathon is 13.1. So I saw the 13, knew there was a 0.1 more mile, and it was all downhill. So I was like, I have a lot of energy. I can sprint this. So I started sprinting it downhill. I see all these people I was passing again, and they were barely chugging along. Then I crossed the finish line, and it's cool. I love how when you cross the finish line, they say your name. They say, for me, I'm not gonna say my everything, but they said Noah Giddens from, and that was so cool. And the thing is, I was like, there was basically no one right in front of me or right behind me, so I essentially got that like finisher solo, which felt cool. Then I look at the time on my watch. It said 1 hour, 52 minutes, and like 40 seconds, or 53 minutes and some seconds. And I forgot to turn that off for a good minute or two. I broke my record. Then later that night, they posted the race results. And I looked up my number. 1 hour, 51 minutes, 28 seconds. To put that in perspective, my fastest half marathon before this was 2 hours, 2 minutes, and like 2 seconds. It was like really weird. It was like almost exact all twos. That was my record before it. And I just shaved off over 10 minutes. And I wasn't even trying. I was barely breaking a sweat. And that kind of made me realize, oh, altitude training does a lot. And that felt so cool. I loved it so much because, like, I knew I had a bit of an advantage running on in the mountains, having to run hills. But I didn't realize it was going to be that big of an advantage. I loved it so much. And then then you start walking through. They hand you a medal. You get the race shirt before, so you can wear it during the run or not. I didn't wear it during my run, but yeah, that was amazing. And the race itself was so energetic and just fun. I loved it. And that brings me to where I am now. There's a marathon in February. I'm training now for a marathon, which is double the distance. because that experience in San Francisco motivated me so much. Now, before that marathon, on Thanksgiving I have a fun run I'm doing that's like 9 miles, something fairly easy for me. It's in my hometown, so it's going to be like, so I'm not going to be breaking any personal records with that one, I'm sure. But I'm so excited to start racing and collecting medals. And I found this one thing where if you complete 4 out of 5 races, and they give you a list, you get like the Golden State, the Golden State medal. You only have to run 5Ks for them, but I know me. I'm going to try to do the longest distance they provide for each. So this is going to be the year of marathoning for me, basically. I'm so excited. And the feeling around racing is so different from anything else I've experienced. I've been running for over a year and a half before this. And now, I have a brand new motivation too. And that's going to basically be the end of this video. I just wanted to bring that up, wanted to pump out a video, show off my medal, and just talk about my experience. And heck, today, first day of marathon training, I ran 16 miles, kicked my ass. It's going to get better over time. I have a few months and I can already do a half marathon fairly well. So I'm thinking you're supposed to have 12 to 16 weeks to train for a marathon. But since I can already very confidently do a half marathon, that's like, you get that like halfway through training, so I'm not too concerned about that. And I'm just trying to go the distance. I'm not trying to do speed work. So yeah, that's my next goal as a marathon. It's going to be in Huntington Beach in February. And I'll keep y'all updated. But yeah, that's episode, I think, 4 of ongoing titles. First time I had a series actually reach the 4th episode, so a little bit of excited about that. And yeah, I hope y'all have a wonderful day.